We're back. What's going on, everybody? I'm so excited for tonight's episode. I have one of my best friends here, Natty Beats, aka Natalie Brown, and I can't wait to ask her some fascinating questions about her life experience. She has literally lived in the most remote, coolest places around the world the last 10 years, integrated with all the coolest cultures, and I thought it'd be amazing to have her share some of her experience and some of her wisdom and knowledge with everyone on how that all went. You know, so tonight we're gonna try to keep it short. I'm gonna ask two quick questions. The first question I have for Natalie is going to be around how she was inspired to live in these places. I mean, she lived in like Senegal, Laos, like the coolest, most remote, unique, different places. And what inspired her to take that jump and go live out there and integrate with those cultures? And then the second half of the question will be, what did she learn from those cultures that she brought back with her or that she can share with us tonight? Because these are amazing cultures with incredible traditions and just really a beautiful sense of community. And I'm sure there's so much you can learn from that. So let's jump right in. Should we jump right in?
Yeah, let's
go,
do it.
Natty Beats. All right, so first question is, like, tell us a little bit about your journey and like how you ended up living in some of these places.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on here.
Of course.
I'm so honored, and everything you said is like just so kind. And yeah, I mean, I have learned a lot, and it's been so amazing, and I'm so like fortunate to have had the experiences that I've had. And I really don't even know where it started. I mean, I've always been fascinated with traveling and learning from other cultures. It's just always been there for me. It's like always been a passion of mine. Like, as long as I can remember, I can't really pinpoint it. Like when I was in high school, I actually had the opportunity to do the French exchange where we hosted a French exchange student, and then they hosted me in France. And yeah, that was like my first time really integrating into a different culture and like just realizing that other people in other parts of the world live so differently from how we do here.
It's crazy.
So that was like a really amazing experience that I was really grateful for. And yeah, just formed a strong connection with the girl that I did the exchange with. We like kind of like lifelong friendship type thing. And then as I got older, like through college, I don't know why, but I've always had a kind of gravitational pull towards Africa, like learning about Africa. I think the history is so rich, the culture, the people. It's just always been so fascinating to me. So I had the opportunity to study abroad in college. I went to Ghana and Tanzania. And then after college, I still wanted to keep that up and keep going there. Like I just kept feeling a pull. So when I was in college, I majored in international studies, and my focus was actually on Africa. So I learned a lot about the culture and history. And then after college, I applied for a job in Senegal. So I had the opportunity to move there and to live there, and I was there for a couple years. And I learned so much about the culture, and I just loved it so much. And yeah, after that, I moved to Laos for a bit, and then I came back to the States after that. So I've just always been fascinated by traveling and learning from other cultures. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love hearing experiences like that, and that inspires me to start traveling more. Like I get so energized by like meeting other cultures, learning their traditions, feeling that sense of community, learning what they're all about. It's like so energizing versus just staying in my own little bubble. So
it's
like
amazing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do that. And yeah, speaking of that, so the second part of the question is like, what did you learn over your time living in these other countries? Are there any takeaways that you're like, wow, like it's so cool how this, you know, culture or this tradition in Senegal, they did this, and like what did you bring back with you that's pretty fascinating, or something that can inspire or motivate us like in our daily lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's so many things I could probably think of. The first thing that comes to mind is just like this sense of connection and community that's just so prevalent in other cultures. You hear it a lot. People say it like, oh, the Western world, we're so individualized.
Isolated,
and it's almost like a value of ours in the US, which like in some ways it can be good, but in other ways it also means that we kind of live kind of isolated from each other. Like
100%.
You know, like after college, you kind of go on and it's kind of the norm to just live in your own apartment and move away from family and start your own family, but you're not really living close to your family. Whereas in other cultures, especially in Africa and when I was in Laos, Southeast Asia, it was there as well. People just live together. Like it's such a strong sense of community, and like I just loved it. I fell in love with Senegal. I loved living there. I loved West Africa. There is such a strong sense of community, and people there, they genuinely treat you like your family, and that's how they act.
I love that.
And there's so many examples I could think of. I mean, just one that comes to mind is like, if you're, and maybe this is other places too, I don't know, but like if you're with someone and you compliment them on their shirt, like, oh, I like your shirt, they're gonna literally take it off their back and give it to you.
No.
Like that's happened to me
Wow.
before. Like one of my Senegalese friends, I'll be like, wow, I like your shirt. He'd be like, oh, here you go. Like literally just gives it to you without even thinking twice. And like,
that's amazing. We can't even think in that realm that even that exists, you know? Like,
yeah,
that's so cool.
selfless,
Yeah.
just
I love that.
community oriented, like just brothers and sisters, and the guys like hold hands when they're walking down the streets, and it's not like a romantic gesture.
Yeah.
It's just that everyone's just so together. There's a sense of togetherness that I've never experienced anywhere else, and like they have the public transportation situation is really interesting. They have like all these little taxis and motos and things like that. But they also have these vehicles called the sept place, which in French means like 7 spots. So like cars with 7 seats in them. And like I lived in Chess, which is about an hour and a half east of the capital, which is Dakar. And sometimes on weekends I would go to Dakar, and there would be a location where you pack into the sept place with like other people. Sometimes there's 7, sometimes there's more.
I like that.
You all pack in together. Everyone has their bags. Like grandmothers have like their fruits from the market with them. You're just like bumping up against people, and then we're like riding together to the capital. And just that alone, it's like you just feel this sense of community. And I remember, so one thing that I did when I was there was I practiced Ramadan, because the majority of people in Senegal are Muslim. So I wanted the experience of kind of like going through the fasting with them for the month and just seeing what it was like.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then they break fast at sunset. So that's when they stop their fast. They start eating at that time. And I remember I was in a sept place, and then you would hear the call to prayer. The sun was setting. That means it's time to break fast. Someone brought out like dates and started passing it around like the taxi, and everyone was like eating it together, and we all broke fast together. And it was just like all these little moments happened so much during my time there that like all of it together was just like the biggest lesson I've learned is just community and connection with other people is really everything. Like that's
amazing.
That's all it comes down
100%.
to on our time on earth. It's all about just like
I agree.
connection.
Absolutely, yeah. I think about that so often, that like, hey, without good relationships or a sense of community, like nothing else matters. You need that. That like keeps you alive, keeps you young, keeps you connected. So I'm with you. And there's such beautiful examples. Like I love that sense of community where everybody comes together. You feel like you're connected. You're not just like isolated on a little island. So thank you for sharing that stuff. Yeah, we're not going to make these videos too long, so we're going to wrap it up. But like, this is amazing.
Thank you.
I can't wait to do more videos with Natalie. We're going to crush it. Let's rock and
Thank
roll.
you so much.
You're so welcome. All right, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. See you next week.
Bye.